Okay, I hereby call to order this meeting of the Strategic Housing Finance Corporation of Travis County, Texas, UFO to East Highland Mall Boulevard. Our first item is a call to order to confirm our quorum.
President Julio Gonzalez Altamirano,
Here,
Vice President Lisa Reams. Not yet. Director Delee Becker. Here. Director Wilmer Roberts. Mr. Roberts, you're muted.
I'm here.
Thank you. Director Keisha Prince. Here. Director Rebecca Weber. I'm here. Director Jan Wenig. Present.
We have a quorum.
let's begin with item number 2, public forum, citizen communication. Do we have anybody signed up to speak live? Do we have anyone to sign up to speak
No.
online?
No.
Then we will close the public forum citizen communication. Time for consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the September 7th, 2023 regular meeting? Director Weber makes the motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Director Wenning makes a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Discussion items. We are not going to receive a briefing from Ms. Shields today at the request of our friends of Travis County. We are going to do it in November. I'm very much looking forward. Let's skip interlocal agreement termination for the moment and go to SHFC, Interim Executive Director Search and Hiring Process. You should have a draft for discussion that is my edits for understanding, and not very good ones, of Director Wenning's proposed draft for discussion of the tentative hiring process. Does anybody have any feedback or comments? Yes.
The advisory council will be or a subform of this body.
Director Wenning, do you want to convey this?
So, thank you for your question, Director. This is a process that we'd like to discuss with the board to do the best, under unusual circumstances, to be prepared and to limit our risk and vulnerabilities based on other issues that may be impacting our board, and we'll be getting that discussion next on the agenda. But given that, we wanted to have a broad outline of how to proceed in a transparent and open and inclusive way to try to be staffed out in the event of a change in staffing arrangements by the year's end. So to that end, the HR committee, myself and Ms. Prince, have been meeting on a regular basis and attempting to bring materials to the board for discussion. One of those includes a tentative draft job description that I think you have. Is that part of this?
Yes, it's an
Action item.
It's an action item.
But I mean, did the folks have it?
It's not in the.
It's not in
papers,
the.
I'm sure it's in that pack.
It-
This one.
Correct. It wasn't one of the items that was a lot of.
Sorry?
It's on boardable, yes, that was.
It's on Boardable.
Okay, yes, it is on board.
Check it out on Boardable. That job posting, our proposal is to post it as soon as we get agreement on it, and to let the posting stand for at least 30 days. There's some other comments that the HR committee would like to share with the board about how to go about posting, and some information our research uncovered on how to do a good job of blanket posting this across other entities that would be interested in a possible position opportunity. In terms of naming the advisory council members, it's a conceptualization we had that we might invite advisory committee members from the community to be part of the interview process when we progress to that place in our deliberations. And that those folks would be asked to join alongside directors from this body during the interview process of, say, the final three candidates. How does that sound to folks, since we're on it right now and it's open margins here, we can write this any way we want. What do y'all think of that?
Would the HR committee, appoint the advisory council?
We would be very interested in proposals from the directors, and yes, we would select.
The committee itself,
That's
not the
my
larger
concern.
body.
It's up
It's a
to
little
your
more,
recommendation,
it's a little
Director.
more facile if we select, and not have to come back given the timelines involved. Would that be acceptable to the board? I'm hearing that.
Yes, it is acceptable to me. No.
All right. So again, emphasis on, we invite recommendations from this extremely talented and broad ranging colleagues of mine who give their time willingly on this business. And you've got lots of networks in the community. We hope to tap them. One idea would be to have comparables in the community available to be part of those interviews. If there's any other executive directors and or executive directors that would like to. In the interest of building a harmonious ecology amongst all entities involved in affordable housing throughout the community. So then moving down, that would happen in the next 30 days. We would want to hear back from y'all. And then to review the resumes in response to the job postings would happen in a work session. Again, as a sub-quorum, and that's open for discussion. If people want the resume review to happen as a full body, what do y'all think? I like so we could screen it down to some select candidates, okay? And then providing the board by December 7th with 3 finalists would be our setting interviews immediately thereafter. Assuming that we have 3 candidates still available and interested at that time after we talk to them about scheduling interviews. And the goal would be to extend an offer sometime in the month of December 2023. Any more questions on that? They're in this draft, and we're really open to any ideas to get this business accomplished in a good way.
So if the director has a recommendation for someone to be on the advisory council, we should direct that to the HR committee.
Sure.
Okay.
And so it's Ms. Prince and myself.
Any other pieces of feedback on this? Well, thank you to the members. Yes, Ms. Hoffman.
President Gonzalez, also
Yes.
Marana, I'd just like to update you that we do have Vice President Reeves with us.
All right.
Greetings.
Greetings. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. Yes, Ms. Reeves, we are under category 4 discussion items. We're currently discussing item C, which is the interim executive director search and hiring process. And we've had a review of the draft for discussion presented by Director Wenning and Prince. And largely there is joy at this draft for discussion with a few suggestions and questions. If you do not have any additional feedback, then we will move on to our next item.
I have one more
Yes.
clarification.
Okay.
In our research, I alluded to this in my general comments. As the HR committee tried to locate comparable job postings, comparable people in positions of an interim executive director over a local strategic finance corporation, we actually found one. And it's Ron Williams down at the Southeast Texas Housing Finance Corporation, known as SEF. And I think you're nodding, Mr. Blum, because he referenced how great it is to work with you on as bond counsel. So I know you're familiar with him. He's been in a position for a long time, resigned, and was drafted back as an interim, and he and I were able to meet and discuss the qualities that might be important, most important qualities for this position, and he's still available for consultation, which is a huge benefit for us. It's just a gold mine. Also, he asked me, do I know what Talfa was? And I'm like, I do not know what Talfa is. And he advised me that there is actually the Texas Association of Local Housing Finance Corporations, that's an entity. It exists. And their job is to train us as directors. And I was like excited and really thrilled. And then I found out that actually the annual meeting is in 2 weeks. And they have what's called a boot camp for directors of, and you're not even getting to know more about this than I do. But,
Speaking of.
oh my gosh, he's gonna be speaking. This is a resource we must tap into. This is, I'm putting a call out to all directors to try to clear their schedules so they can get to Fort Worth and possibly participate in this. Because once we join as members and each person has to join individually, that person has access to their job posting site and we can put our job on their site. So this was a great discovery, and I can't thank Ron Williams and his staff enough for walking me through the swamp. That's all I had at that point.
Is this the meeting for work?
It is
18th, 19th, 20th.
Yes, and Mr. Hopper is going to that meeting.
Excuse me,
Keith is going to be attending that meeting. So,
does anybody else know about this association or previously? Okay, never heard of it. Yeah, really helpful resource. Go on their website, and materials will be available afterwards, but honestly, I've heard the boot camp is the place to be.
It's Wednesday.
It's the
Wednesday
afternoon,
afternoon.
Wednesday afternoon.
One thing,
You could just go up for that one thing.
probably. I mean,
Oh my gosh, you can hear our resources. It's so exciting.
Okay, I think we've got a good discussion about C, and it sets the framework for what we are going to be doing. All that I would ask of my fellow directors is a little bit of grace and understanding if we need to make slight deviations, or the committee pushes you to do something. We are trying to do something complicated very quickly. We're going to come back to 4B. Let's go to action items. And let's go to item C, approved SHFC interim executive director job description. Director Wendy, do you want to provide a little preview, overview of how we got here? And
I'd be happy to.
yes, thank you.
Yes, I just want to make sure that it's put up on the screen since folks don't have it in hard copy. Matt, let me give it
It's
to
page
you.
43.
Okay. They don't have to be shown now as long as when the vote comes in.
Okay, I can do that. It's not on your,
It's not in my packet, and it's in one of my envelopes.
We're about to pull it up.
Okay, great.
thank you.
The issue when it comes to a vote, we need to have the two directors shown. You can't show four.
I can't hear you.
We'll have it pulled up.
Or we are looking for
Page 43.
Page
43.
43. Resolution SHFC 2308, the interim executive director job description.
43.
It's not, on 43.
Oh,
I'm so sorry, no. Should have just,
And then board reports version 2.
That's what-
oh, so she's on board reports version 2. Which,
oh,
Yeah, but it's
that-
better.
I'm on
Okay, so
version
it's-
2.
8.
Am I not in the most recent version of the
Is it
board?
not vote one?
I just got these.
Are you
this
in version
morning.
1?
I'm in version 2 right now.
I'll go to version 1 if that's what it is.
They're both there. They're-
This is 7.
While we're searching, I'll explain the process we went through in coming up with this proposed draft. I already mentioned being able to do access or resource in the community of strategic finance corporations in Texas, and that was Ron Williams. I was able to have an extensive conversation with him. I also pulled the job description provided by Mike Gruber of HACA. I also tapped our resource on staff, Steve Pegler, who had used several resources and source materials to make a draft, which he circulated to the entire committee, and I was able to discuss with Director Prince the pros and cons of that languaging. And we also pulled a, executive position posting for the Baltimore, for the, Montgomery County, more or less Baltimore, Maryland, Strategic Finance Corporation, and how they, envision executive level talent and how they envision, relationships between the board and executive level and media and all the other parties in motion around that kind of level of position in the community itself. And so it was a hybrid. That's the best way to describe it. Do we have
This is the next page.
job description?
Page up.
Okay, what page are we on there?
This is 38.
Thank you. Should have this memorized, right? No, it's not coming up as 30, done with version 2. All right, folks,
It's page 28,
page 28.
sorry, 28.
Thank you so much. No. Does anybody need me to read through this or highlight up any particular bullets? It's now posted on the screens for our discussion. Mr. Roberts, are you able to see the job description?
Mr. Roberts, you're muted.
Ms. Reams, are you able to see the job description? It's now not on the screen.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. It's not in the packet. So I'm not able to see it. Can you put it on the screen? Okay,
Now?
yeah, I can see it now. Okay.
I see it.
Okay, so we're calling the job the interim director for Strategic Housing and Finance Corporation. It's a full-time job, salary commensurate with experience, and we did research comparables. This is an executive level professional management position. You'll see that the bullet points that follow are really the emphasis of what we're searching for here is someone who can build a strong team, can manage real estate assets, can execute SHFC's existing pipeline and deals and develop new ones, and can lead us into a new era. The position reports to this board. You're well aware of how that functions. And the examples of essential duties follow with what this position would need to develop. Emphasis on being the ultimate executive overseeing all HR responsibilities as the team is built, responsible for selection and management, inspiration, oversight, supervision, and dismissal as needed of personnel. Going through those bullets, does anybody have any questions about why we chose to emphasize the role with the board or advocating and promoting SHFC in the community? Anything strike anybody as needing adjustment or redesign? Going to the minimum qualifications, obviously there's just some basic skill sets. Yes, yes, ma'am, Director Warren.
Oh, I didn't even cut you off. I just wanted to ask for you. I'm just wondering why you wanted this person to have a college degree. Talk about whether someone who maybe had, years of organizing experience or working in affordable housing, whether that would suffice for the college degree.
I find that to be a really keen observation. This is drawn from comparables, but I would agree with you that equivalent experience could be used and we should adopt that language. How does the rest of the board feel about that?
Yeah, we can move, to make it simple, we could say let's move these college degree to preferred.
Okay, let's move.
Is it preferred? We could just strike it.
No, we could leave it as, well, maybe not.
College degree or equivalent.
Or equivalent. In experience, how about that?
Yes,
Steve
let's,
Pagler, HR personnel extraordinaire, what do you think of that languaging? Do you have some better?
For an interim role like this, I would be fine with any of that for a long term, and I never use the word permanent in HR, but, you know, for the regular position past the interim, and using the comparable data that's out there, I believe you would probably find that that's a pretty standard requirement. You know, having the education, but again, it's, for me, it wouldn't be a deal breaker. You know, the interim role, just the nature of an interim role, it's going to change your candidate pool anyway, and so you probably need to be a little lighter on requirements there.
Any response to Mr. Pagler's comments? Hearing none, under education, graduation from accredited college or university, or equivalent experience.
okay, so we have a motion to amend the text. Do we have a second?
I'm sorry, who made the
Aye.
motion?
Director-
I don't even know my name. I tell them that too. They put me.
Okay,
And the second was Ms. Prince?
sorry, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent
Aye.
discussion. Appreciate that. Vice President Reams, appreciate that.
Any further changes to the job description? Any further items of discussion? Okay, then I think we are ready for its adoption. Can there be a motion to adopt? All right, Director Weber makes a motion to adopt the resolution adopting this job description. Is there a second? Director Becker, all those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody abstaining? No. Excellent.
Thank you all. It's
No, I said you didn't hear me.
We did,
We did.
Mr. Roberts, we did, thank you.
Mr. Director Roberts.
Okay. Now we're gonna consider the rest of our action items. And I want to just confirm this with staff. Action item A, resolution number SHFC 2023-06 is no longer necessary to act upon, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, Mr. Howard, would you provide a little bit of background on why that is the case?
Well, the applicant said they were no longer interested in pursuing our adoption of the item. I did inquire about why that was the case. We did get some artificial feedback from the consultant, but the response I did get from the developer was that they essentially wanted to move forward. It wasn't a concern per se about what we were asking for. I think they had other options available to them, and they decided to pursue another option in terms of the ability to do the same, you know, that entity that had the same functions that we had in power. So, however, I would say that we probably, for our own purposes, you know, obviously just need to ensure that we are continuing to move forward and be the preferred entity to do development in the future. So, but essentially they didn't give us a lot of detail in terms of the response, but I do believe that we probably, as time goes on, I think that our being the choice would be more likely in most cases.
Do you know what issuer they went with?
I believe they're going with Travis County HFC.
So Ms. Shields stole our deal.
I think they actually had, to be honest, I think they had approached them first.
Yeah.
And they were hedging the bets on who they would likely be participating with.
Yeah.
So, which is not uncommon.
When Ms. Shields come, we'll ask her if she asks for 30% AMI, won't we, Director Wentworth?
Yeah, we will be.
We will be asking. So that's the situation with that. So we are not gonna take action. Any other questions from the board on this item?
Just clarification, Mr. Howard, on your final comment, when you said in the future will appear more appealing, what did you mean?
Well, we would be the one preferred. I don't know. We just have to figure out what that is as we get more feedback from entities. So we don't know the nuances of why that was specifically. And then weren't necessarily forthcoming with those details. We just hope that we're, whatever, in the end, hopefully we'll be the ones. Whatever that looks like.
Director Weber?
I was wondering if we could just get a short summary of what have we lost by losing this deal? What benefit are we not getting?
So the units will still, 80 units will still be on the ground. They'll still be in Southwest Austin. They still will use income averaging and affordability unlocked. So we know what the tiering is for affordability unlocked, and we're talking about 80 units with the potential of another phase. So for what it's worth, the revenue generated from us being the deal, the partner in the deal, which obviously has implications for other things that you want to do. So, but in terms of the units being developed, assuming they get an allocation of credits, this is just to induce. They may not necessarily be successful in doing that. So this is just putting them in line for such. So this is all speculative, of course, but they still have the ability to do that. And the reality of it is they still could come back to us to participate in that process. As you all know, it's not binding to induce. So they theoretically could decide, oh, I changed my mind. You know, we might want to work with Travis County with strategic instead. So that does exist, happen at times. It's not typically what does happen, but it is a possibility.
So we lost hundreds of thousands of dollars ago.
Millions.
Well, in our likely term life.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yes.
Yes, but as a corporation, we must.
Millions, probably.
And unlike the county. We have, this is our revenue stream. Why they chose them, we will get to talk to the Shields about her terms, our terms. And we will talk to our appointers about this as well. But this is the world we live in. We are one of several 394s. It's not all bad news though, because we have resolution number SHFC 2023-07. This is to approve the prescription of the form and substance of an agreement to issue bonds for multifamily housing revenue bonds, Blue Ridge Apartments, etc. You received a one-pager as well as documentation about this. It speaks for itself. I think one of the things that's important here is this is a legacy deal, or that's the language we've used in this board vintage. Similar to Santiago Estates, it is a tax credit deal. Again, the vernacular that we use to kind of get a sense of what is the transaction we are enabling. You have gotten the one pager. This is a little slightly different than what we've recently done in that they're asking for a little bit more bond allocation for reasons that are summarized very well in the documentation. Does anyone have any questions or concerns that they want to raise this one? Seeing none. Seeing none. Can we move adoption of resolution SHFC 2023-07? Someone has to make a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Director Wenning makes a
Oh, I
motion. Is
did.
there a second? Oh,
I
thank
second.
you, Ms. Second, Ms. Reeves. All those in favor? Aye.
All
Opposed?
right,
Thank
all right.
you.
all right, but, Mr. President, I've got to leave. I'm an hour ahead of you on, so, I've got another connection to get to, okay? Thank you for allowing me to be on, okay?
All right, sir.
All right, have a good day.
Trails. Okay, that concludes our action items for the day, and we are at, let me check where we are in our time. We started at 11:25. We are 35 minutes in, so we still have about an hour. Committee reports. Are there any committee reports that any committee wants to make at this time? Real estate committee met. We reviewed some of the tax credit deals, one that was pulled, as well as a series of workforce deals. We do not have recommendations at this time. We did discuss at my urging, imploration, and begging the need to get additional capacity to be able to be more rigorous in our screening, build our capacity to be the preferred provider. And so action that is filtered by the committee to you might be forthcoming in terms of some procurement of some services. That's sort of the big update. We got a lot of stuff. We looked at a lot of stuff. We need some help looking at the stuff. Any other committee reports? Seeing none. Executive Vice President report. Does anybody have any questions of the EVP reports? Any topics that EVP or other staff members want to raise as urgent? I just have one topic about our tax pool funds. Just to reiterate, what interest are we earning on those?
5%.
Fantastic. Yes, that is the right answer. That is the right answer. And I just want to confirm, because a lot of our planning is based on this. That nest egg is real. It's real cash in the bank.
Yeah, it's liquid. I can move it anytime.
No, there's no liabilities beyond the ones you provided in the report.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
It's
the
all-
amount of,
And the amount is $5 million if you look at it. Yeah. All right.
It's invested in government securities.
Fantastic. So no other questions on the EVP reports? One question.
I'm assuming, Mr. Howard, that we would have heard from you if there were other developments in the pipeline.
Correct, and other than the ones that are on the report, and the real estate committee's they've been vetted through the real estate committee. There is one called Azure, so these are all pending items that haven't made their way to obviously a formal recommendation by the board, but they're in the pipeline report. I have them categorized by development entity, and the ones that are at the last page show 394 deals or workforce. One was Azure Apartments was one, and then you see some of the others, Percy Chan, and we've been engaged in discussions, hand in hand with the real estate committee on those. I think the issue remains actually coming up with recommended terms and for both fees and affordability tiers. That's where we are, but outside of those, there aren't any other deals that are close to being considered, I guess, at this point.
And just as a preview of, I think, where we will be, the real estate committee is going to work very hard to come back with you with answers, as well as to improve the instrumentation of what's happening. I want to be realistic about where we are at. I think there will be some times when we make decisions that we look back on and we're like, oh, if we had known, or if we had this, or if we were in a different place, maybe we would have done it a little bit differently. But I think we are reducing the volatility of the cost, making that very quickly. And that's part of the reason we need more capacity. Because as you know, we are entitled to 12 hours of Mr. Howard's time. And I'm an unpaid volunteer, and Director Weber is a prominent attorney in this community, who is also an unpaid volunteer, et cetera. Ms. Reams, we work in parent, if there is only so much that we can do, and so we have to reduce the risk for you. So I think keep pressing on us, instrumenting you well. I don't have any other questions on the EVP reports. Staff doesn't want to raise any issues. Any other items? No. Okay, so let's go back to. That little song is my way of adding levity. Discussion items, E, interlocal agreement termination. Before we begin, do the members of the HATC board want to share anything with us before we begin this discussion?
I would like to share that the advice of council in the previous meeting to the three overlapping board members was that this is, even if there is not a conflict here, there is significant appearance of conflict. And therefore the advice was that we accuse ourselves from any discussion about the ILA or resign from one of the two boards. And for that reason, I am now going to accuse myself, and the advice was that we leave the room. Although I don't know why I can't sit and watch the meeting play out, but I guess just will the minutes reflect that I'm leaving the dais.
Just for clarification for this board, yes. We have council present, and could we just have a reiteration of the concern and why we might exercise the option to recuse ourselves and for what we might be allowed to be present for, just one more time.
Sure, just to give a, hopefully a shorter summary, the,
Mr. Blount, you can advise us on this topic?
I cannot advise the individuals,
Yes,
but strategic is my client.
yes. I don't want to get you in trouble.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that.
I will not be. So just want to make sure.
So yes, and that's what I started out with in the previous meeting, is that we don't represent the individuals. But I think the concern is that there is potential conflict between the two organizations related to the terms of termination of the interlocal agreement. I haven't been in discussions. I don't know exactly what those are, but that's my understanding that there could be some terms that are going to be a little difficult to negotiate, and therefore, no matter which way it goes, there would be an appearance that the overlapping directors favored one entity or the other over the other entity, and therefore violated the fiduciary duty of the duty of loyalty to the particular organization. And the only real way to avoid that is to recuse themselves and not participate in the discussion or the voting on the particular matter.
And to the question of being present in the room but not participating in discussion.
Well, I think if you were to choose to just observe, like members of the public, just sitting back here, I think that's fine. I don't think that would be considered participation if you don't talk. I mean, I think that's fine. I don't think there's any need to necessarily leave. I think that's up to how comfortable you are. I would point out, I think in general, if the three overlapping directors recuse themselves on this matter, that there's 4 members left and you could have a quorum and you could vote on it as strategic. However, you've got to have a quorum present in the room,
Exactly.
and right now you
We
will not. So
Okay, so we're gonna stop the discussion of the ILA termination there. Because if you refuse, we lose quorum.
I think that I would prefer to recuse and then you,
Yeah,
whatever you can do.
exactly.
Is that all right?
I see what you're saying.
Yes, that's okay.
Yes, go ahead.
So Ms. Madeline, I'm leaving.
Noted
Yes.
noted that I'm accusing myself as well.
The board of the president is noting the recusal. We have lost our physical quorum.
right. And
This meeting is adjourned.
Adjourn.
We don't have a quorum.